Good evening, Hopkins pre-health community. I'm doing that awkward waiting thing. All right. Okay. All right. I see we got some people joining us. Awesome. I came on here like a couple seconds earlier so that it could load. If you are here for Pre-Prof Talks, we are talking all things HPA, health professions application. So please go ahead, throw some questions in the chat, in the comment section, and I will definitely answer them. I think there's a way to like send me questions directly too. So yes, but okay, I think I see a couple more popping up. I'll give it 2 seconds. Yeah, so Health Professions Office is, again, doing Pre-Prof Talks as a way to kind of just have a different platform to talk about the same things and make sure you're well supported, especially those. This session is really about the Health Professions application for those that are applying the cycle. It is due March 1st. So if you have not enrolled in Canvas, you are late. But you can get on there and you can get access to the HPA application. You want to give yourself at least a couple days to work through the application. There's a lot that's involved with it, and you want to make sure it's accurate and also take time. So we're going to go through some of the aspects right now. Again, if you have specific questions and you're unsure, drop into the HPA hours that if you're applying this cycle, it's in Canvas. And for those that are not applying this cycle but want to kind of be ahead of the game, make an advising appointment, and we can definitely talk about different aspects to get you prepared for next year. But so in case you do not know, the HPA is the internal application that we use to write committee letters, and committee letters are the letter that we send to medical schools on your behalf, medical and dental. So it is essentially a letter that is written by the pre-professional office plus your individual letters that then are submitted to your central applying system, whether it's AMCAS, ACOMAS, TMD, SAS, or AADS. So that's a lot of acronyms, but it basically meant MD, DO, Texas being their own system, and then dental school. So that is the overarching aspect. And of course, VE Collect is the system that we use to store where you store your individual letters. We pull from that and add it to your letter packet. So if you're confused about any of that and you're applying the cycle, go to Canvas. It's all there. We promise. And read through the modules and the checklist. So HPA, there are a couple components. You're going to have the biographical information. You have you input aspects of your grades as well, so we know courses you've taken and such. And then you also have list of experiences, and the list of experiences, you get 15. So we've modeled the HPA the same way that AMCAS does the application, and ACOMA, same kind of model. So it's a great way to prepare your application. So if you work on this, you're actually getting your application prepared. And so we have, you have a maximum, I should say, of 15 experiences, but you do not need to force yourself to have 15. I would say anything under 8 is probably side-eye. But that doesn't mean that only having 8 is a bad thing if they have depth, right? So obviously, I would say the average, I said what you should aim for is 8 to 10 at least, but you do get 15 experiences. There are tons of choices of categories: artistic endeavors, research, clinical experiences, volunteering and employed, other, if it doesn't fit, sports, hobbies, like list. So you should look at the list, think about all the types of things that you've done through undergraduate, your undergraduate experience, both in and out of the classroom, teaching assistant, tutor, all that jazz. So what happens with the experiences? Oh, here's the list. I knew I had it. Military service, paid employment, publications, research, presentations, posters, community service, both medically relevant and non-medically clinically relevant, conferences attended, all types of things. Do we have any questions about experiences per se, like labeling or anything? If you don't ask questions, then I'm kind of just talking to myself, but that's cool. That's what we're here for. All right, so we have in your list of experiences, you have the ability to label 3 as most meaningful. This is simply an opportunity for you to expound on what you gained from an experience. For those particularly that, I see a question. I'll get to you. For those you have identified to be opportunities that you had that were really influential or critical to your personal development, your understanding of medicine, maybe impactful in your learning, or something you just really thoroughly enjoyed that connects you with the work you want to do in medicine. There is no prescription of which one you should label as most meaningful. However, you are applying to medical school and dental school. So if one isn't medically inclined or some kind of medically, you probably want at least one to have a clinical feel, because that's where you're going. It doesn't have to be, but it definitely will help bring that application together. So is scribing considered a clinical experience or shadowing? So I would say that is a clinical experience because you are actively engaging in a experience. Shadowing is probably the most passive clinical. Well, I should say shadowing is a type of clinical experience as well. So yeah, clinical experience. So shadowing is the more passive. You're in an observatory role. Usually you are shadowing while scribing often, but you are doing a service. So I would put it as clinical experience, if that makes sense. Whereas shadowing, you may have just been in the room, but not actually participating in a aspect of the care being given or the treatment follow-up or anything like that. So scribing, you are part of the process as a scribe. Okay, hold on. Okay, I have 2 questions. If I have an upcoming conference in May, can I still put it down? Yes, good question. So AMCAS is actually, so for the HPA, yes, you can put dates. In the past, we have not always had anticipated events, but because AMCAS is now allowing students or applicants to put anticipated events, we are also going to take those into consideration. However, just make sure you don't have more anticipated than you have current or done. So yes, if you're attending a conference in May, feel free to put it in the list of experiences. Are you required to shadow a PCP if we work as a scribe for them? So scribing and shadowing is 2 different experiences. If the PCP that you are working for as a scribe is allowing you to shadow them as well, that's awesome. You can actually have it as a separate, as long as you're not on the clock while you're shadowing, then it's a separate experience. If they're offering you the opportunity to shadow during the time that you are also scribing with them, then I would say that just falls under your scribing time. But you're not required to shadow even plainly. So shadowing is just a great opportunity to have on your application, but there is no experience that's required. However, highly encouraged that you shadow in general. Yes. Does it have to be the person that you are working as a scribe for? No. Hold on. I think I have another question. Okay, I answered that one. All right, keep throwing the questions. I love it. So again, most meaningful, you get 3. You get 700 characters for the first part of the description, just like you do for all the other experiences. And then you get an additional 1325, where you get to expand on what it is you are discussing about that experience. So example, if you have a research experience, the first portion might be I'm going to make this totally, this is going to be made up, but say you're in a research lab for being an RA. I'm going to make it up because that's what my reference voice is. But I am studying the impact of mentorship on students. And my role in the research lab was to facilitate surveys and collect data and then set them up for evaluative measures. I communicated the results at a student leadership conference and was able to communicate potential ways to increase participation in on-campus environments that allow growth and sense of belonging, right? So that's my 700. But then my most meaningful at the additional 1325 might be more reflection. Like when I first initially decided to be an RA myself, I was really excited about the opportunity to just create a positive sense of community for incoming freshmen. What I learned about myself is that I really love to create new things and encourage people to participate in on-campus activities. Being part of the research really allowed me to see how well these programs were being developed and whether or not they were beneficial. A lot of the times it required me to review data and meet with my advisor. So you see how like the second part is more like this narrative-based conversation that you're having, an opportunity to showcase another element to it. You can kind of approach it that way. So the first 700 can be really highlighting your areas of responsibility, the growth that you made intellectually or skill building. What you got out of the experience can kind of be hinted at in that 700. And then you can do the additional 1325 and go more deeply. Give some examples. Maybe you had a positive interaction with a patient. Maybe telling a story is the best way to showcase how beneficial that experience was. And you can do that. For the other experiences, you can absolutely include some of your growth points or some of that narrative, but you only have 700 characters, so you got to be short and sweet. And conciseness is what needs to be done. So if you are struggling with being able to construct that, that's perfect time to do drop-ins. So definitely be able to join in on this HPA hours so you can have some second eyes on it. Essays, additional essays. So we're at 12 minutes. I've been talking a lot. Let me see if I have more questions. Okay. All right. I have no other questions, so I'll keep going. You have other essays, part of the HPA. These essay questions are made to make you think about yourself, not just in the context of I did this, this, and this, and this, not in a list fashion. The experiences is obviously a little bit more of a list of things that you've done, but the essay questions are an opportunity to help us understand who you are, your upbringing, where you were raised, what motivated you to come to Hopkins, why did you do the experiences you've done, what are your hobbies, your influences, maybe some of the things you've overcome in your life that led you to wanting to pursue medicine. So that first overview, honestly, is just us trying to understand who you are, where you're from, what do you value, what are the things that make you who you are in terms of like your sociological, the sociological perspective of who you are. The compelling essay is really another way to answer comprehensively why medicine, right? What makes you a well-rounded or strong applicant, or distinct not meaning unicorn, because unicorns seem like far and few between, and that's not what pre-med students are, at least at Hopkins. There are many of you engage in the same activities, and so on paper you might look a little bit alike. However, it is the intersectionality of all your experiences, your identities, your backgrounds that make you more distinct. So as a compelling applicant, for that question, we want you to really hone in on the things that make you you as it pertains to your decision to pursue medicine. So also give us a little insight into the future. What will you bring to the future of medicine? and dentistry. What is it that you hope to do? Then we have questions. We have optional questions that are asking you to just give us any insight on, I think I skipped the focus topic. So focus topic is for you to choose one of the following topics and explain your experiences pertaining to the topic. And we have leadership, academic interest, contributions to community, and overcoming a challenge. Now, the hope is that you have likely shown all of those at some point, right? So my suggestion is that maybe you free write all of them because they might be useful information for secondaries. And secondaries is your second part of your application later in July. But schools ask about leadership. Schools ask about how you've contributed to your community. Schools want to know why you chose your major, what is your academic interest, and then they always want to assess resilience in some way and adaptability. So for the purpose of the HPA, we're asking you to choose one, not that you are only one. Okay. So choose the one that you think best represents who you are. And you don't have to overthink it. Choose the one that stands out when you look at the page. I have a very strong example for one and go for it. Academic essay, that is just giving any, insight or clearing any discrepancy about your academic record, for instance, withdrawals, leaves of absence, because giving context to situations can help us better communicate those things in your committee letter. There's also, again, it's optional because if you don't feel like you have one, don't create one. But it is an opportunity for those who want a space to talk about it to be able to do so. Final thoughts essay is really just about giving us anything that we didn't provide space for that you think is important to know. Let us know. Anything you put in this application, we're not literally taking verbatim what you're writing and then placing it into committee letter. We use it, we extrapolate, and then we highlight, and then we communicate who you are in a more comprehensive fashion. So write clearly, convey what is meaningful in your story so that we have the best chunks of who you are. The competencies is an opportunity for practice, honestly. I think there's one in your whole application process. There's who you say you are, who you've shown to be, who others say you are. That's your letters of rec. And then who we also get to support and say you are. For the competencies for medical school, dental school, pre-health, there are general competencies that the career and the field and the schools are looking for. Again, this is another example where you have likely exuded or embodied all of these competencies at some point or another. The idea is to choose the ones that you feel are most pillar or most a pillar to your story or most evident pretty consistently across the board of your story. And so when you write about it, just let us know how you feel like you've demonstrated it. We don't give you a lot of room, so you can't go on and on about the story of it, but try to write it concisely. How have you shown leadership? What instances have you shown resiliency or adaptability? What was the outcome? So, telling the story for the sake of the story is not what you're aiming to do, but doing more showing than just telling is the aim of those competencies. So that's pretty much the HPA. And really, if you take it seriously and you give it time, you will prepare yourself really, really well for the actual application process when you have to go and write a personal statement, which we will be supporting in March and April and May, helping you develop your overall, a more cohesive application. So do not wait until the last minute. You are not considered complete until you have submitted the HPA. Enrolling into Canvas or enrolling yourself into SurveyMonkey Apply is not considered submitted. You need to go through all of it and get that little message in your email that says your application is submitted. So we are seeing a real lag in people enrolling into the HPA application and then actually finishing out their application. So we hope to see that number increase. We know there are a lot of people who are looking to apply this cycle. And March 1st is like, remember, February is a short month. We got 28 days. It's not even a leap year. So you have about 1 week this time next week. Yeah, just about, right? That's the math. Yeah, this time next week, we're going to be right on that brink of that March 1st. So definitely get that in. We hope that you reach out to us using the HPA application drop-ins, and also send emails to Pre-Prof at preprofessional@jhu.edu. Follow us on TikTok for tips, and of course here on Instagram. Hopefully this was helpful and it wasn't a complete rant. I see a question. I'll answer that before I go. If I took a summer course over the summer, do I need to submit that transcript under unofficial transcript? Yeah, if you took a summer course over the summer. Question is did you take it at Hopkins or did you take it somewhere else? If you took the course at another institution, yes, but if you took it at Hopkins, we would see it on your transcript. So I assume you're saying if you took it at another institution, yes, please upload that. You can, yes, unofficial is good. I think that's it. Those are all my questions. For those just joining, we're wrapping up. Sorry to say, but the beauty of Live is that it will be available for you to watch in just about 2 minutes. So thank you all for coming on, asking the great questions. Again, connect with Pre-Prof if you are lost or need some support. All right, take care.